I was washing my son's faces when I heard the car door slam outside. My hands froze. The water kept running. My heart stopped. No one drives cars like that in this village. No one comes here looking for anyone. But I knew that sound. I knew that silence that followed, the kind of silence that hunts. I grabbed my twins, Kai and Kian, and I pulled them close. Their little hands clutched my dress. They didn't understand. They never understood why Mama flinched at every knock, every shadow, every stranger's voice. 4 years. I thought 4 years was enough to disappear. I thought the man who said I could never give him children would never care to look for me. I was wrong. Do you know what it feels like to run from the father of your children and realize he's been hunting you the whole time? I never wanted to marry Kang Hyun-woo, but my family was drowning in debt. My father made a deal with powerful men in Seoul, men whose names you don't say out loud, men who collect payments in blood if you can't pay in cash. And when the debt became impossible, they offered a solution: me, an arranged marriage, a contract, my body in exchange for my family's survival. I was 23 years old when I landed in Seoul. I had never been to Korea before. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know the customs. I only knew that I was terrified. The wedding was cold, no flowers, no music, just signatures and witnesses in expensive suits. Hyunwoo didn't even look at me during the ceremony. His jaw was clenched. His eyes were somewhere else. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," he turned his head and walked out. I stood there alone in a white dress I didn't choose, in a country that wasn't mine, married to a man who hated me. That night, I waited in his penthouse. The walls were glass. The city glittered below like a million diamonds, but inside, everything was ice. He came home late. I heard his footsteps. I stood up, my hands shaking. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what he wanted from me. He stopped in the doorway. He looked at me for the first time, and then he said it. "You are black, and you will never give me children." His voice was flat, matter of fact, like he was reading terms and conditions. "This marriage is business, nothing more. You will live here. You will play the role of my wife in public. But do not expect love. Do not expect a family. You are a contract, Naledi. That is all you will ever be." I felt my chest collapse. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask him why. Why marry me if he believed I was worthless? Why bring me here just to humiliate me? But I said nothing. Because I saw the gun on his desk. I saw the blood on his knuckles. I saw the darkness in his eyes. Kang Hyun-woo was a monster, and I was trapped. For 2 months, I lived like a ghost in his penthouse. He barely spoke to me. He came and went at strange hours. Sometimes I heard shouting. Sometimes I heard gunshots in the distance. I learned quickly. Don't ask questions. Don't leave the apartment. Don't exist unless he needs you to. But something strange happened. He started noticing me. It was small at first. He would come home and find me reading on the couch. He would pause, stare, then leave. One night, I made dinner. I didn't know if he would eat it, but I made it anyway. Ugali and sukuma wiki, the food of my home. I missed my mother. I missed the taste of something familiar. He walked in, smelled the food, stopped. "What is this?" he asked. "Dinner," I whispered. He stared at the plate, then at me. He sat down. He ate. He didn't say a word, but he finished the entire plate. After that, something shifted. He started coming home earlier. He started asking me questions. "Where are you from? What did you do before this? Do you have siblings?" I answered carefully. I didn't trust him. But I was so lonely, so desperate for human connection, that I answered. And then one night, he touched me. It wasn't violent, it wasn't cold, it was hesitant. He reached across the couch and brushed his fingers against mine. I flinched. He pulled back. "I'm sorry," he said. It was the first time I heard him apologize for anything. "I didn't mean what I said," he continued, his voice low. "That night, about you, about children." I stared at him. My heart was pounding. "Then why did you say it?" I whispered. He looked away. "Because I needed you to hate me. I needed you to keep your distance. This world. Naledi, the people I work with, the enemies I have. They will destroy anything I love. I can't afford to love you. But his hand found mine again. And this time, I didn't pull away. We became something I can't name. Not love, not hate. Something dangerous in between. He would hold me at night and tell me stories about his childhood, about the violence that shaped him, about the empire he built on blood. And I would listen, my heart breaking for the boy he used to be. But I also saw the man he was now, the man who ordered executions, the man whose phone rang with death threats, the man whose enemies would stop at nothing to hurt him. And I knew, if I ever mattered to him, I would become a target. I didn't know it yet, but I was already pregnant. 2 lives growing inside me. 2 sons who would change everything. And when I found out, I realized the most terrifying truth of all. Kang Hyunwoo's world would kill my babies before they ever took their first breath. I threw up for the 3rd morning in a row, and I knew. I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror. My hands were shaking. My face was pale. I felt the nausea rise again, but this time it wasn't just sickness, it was terror. I couldn't be pregnant. Not here, not now, not with him. But my period was 3 weeks late. My breasts ached. I was exhausted all the time. And every morning, like clockwork, I was on my knees in front of the toilet. I waited until Hyunwoo left for a meeting. Then I snuck out of the penthouse for the first time in weeks. Seoul was overwhelming. The streets were crowded, loud, fast. I kept my head down. I bought a pregnancy test from a pharmacy, my hands trembling so badly I almost dropped my money. The pharmacist looked at me with curious eyes. I didn't meet them. I ran back to the apartment. I locked myself in the bathroom. I took the test. 2 lines. I sank to the floor. I was pregnant with Kang Hyunwoo's child. The man who said I could never give him children. The man who believed I was biologically incapable because of my race. The man who married me as a business transaction. I was carrying his baby. And I was absolutely terrified. Because I knew what happened to women in his world who got pregnant. I had heard the whispers from his men. I had overheard phone calls. The girl from Busan, she's gone, miscarried, or so they say. Rival's wife was killed. They cut the baby out to send a message. If you love someone in this business, you sign their death warrant. I couldn't tell him. If I told him, everything would change. He would either reject me completely, think I cheated, think I trapped him, or worse, he would care. And if he cared, his enemies would know. They would come for me. They would come for our baby. I flushed the test down the toilet. I washed my face. I tried to breathe. But that night, everything fell apart. Hyunwoo came home covered in blood. Not his blood, someone else's. I heard the door slam. I heard him cursing in Korean. I stayed in the bedroom, my heart racing. He burst in. His shirt was soaked. His hands were shaking. His eyes were wild. "Get out," he said. "What? Get out!" he roared. I scrambled off the bed. I ran into the hallway. I heard him destroy the bedroom. Glass shattering, furniture breaking, guttural screams of rage. I pressed myself against the wall, my hands over my stomach, protecting the life inside me that he didn't know existed. When the noise finally stopped, I heard him collapse. I crept to the doorway. He was sitting on the floor, his head in his hands, blood smeared across his face. "They took my brother," he whispered. I froze. I didn't know he had a brother. They took him because of me, because I loved him, because in this world love is a weapon. He looked up at me. His eyes were broken. "Do you understand, Naledi? Do you understand why I can't love you?" I wanted to tell him. I wanted to scream that I was pregnant, that we were about to bring a child into this nightmare, that it was already too late. But I said nothing, because I realized he was right. Love was a weapon, and our baby would be a target. The next morning, I made my decision. I had to leave. I couldn't stay in Seoul. I couldn't raise this child in a world where enemies cut babies out of their mothers' wombs to send messages. I couldn't let my son or daughter become collateral damage in Hyunwoo's war. I started planning in secret. I stole cash from Hyunwoo's safe, just enough for a plane ticket and a few months of survival. I contacted a cousin in Nairobi who owed my family a favor. I packed a single bag with clothes, documents, and a photo of my mother. And then I waited for the right moment. It came 2 weeks later. Hyunwoo left for a 3-day trip to Busan. He kissed my forehead before he left, a gesture that broke my heart because it felt so tender, so real. "I'll be back soon," he said. I nodded. I smiled. I lied. The moment his car disappeared, I grabbed my bag. I called a cab. I went to the airport. My hands shook as I checked in. My heart pounded as I passed through security. I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting his men to grab me, to drag me back. But no one stopped me. I boarded the plane to Nairobi. I buckled my seatbelt. I put my hand on my stomach. "I'm sorry," I whispered to the baby. "I'm sorry your father will never know you. But this is the only way to keep you safe." The plane took off. Seoul disappeared below me, and I disappeared with it. But as the plane flew over the ocean, I felt it. A second flutter in my belly, stronger than before. And I knew, somehow deep in my bones, this wasn't one baby. This was two. I was carrying twins, and I had just made the most dangerous decision of my life. I landed in Nairobi with $3,000 in cash, one suitcase, and 2 lives growing inside me. My cousin Amani met me at the airport. She didn't ask questions. She just hugged me and said, "You're safe now." But I didn't feel safe. I felt hunted. Every car that passed too slowly made my heart stop. Every man in a suit made me freeze. Every time my phone buzzed, Hyunwoo's name flashing on the screen, I wanted to throw it into the ocean. He called 17 times the first day, 43 times the second day. Then the messages started. "Where are you? Naledi, answer me. If you're in trouble, tell me. I'll come get you. Please, just let me know you're alive." I turned off my phone. I destroyed the SIM card. I disappeared. Amani helped me find a small village 2 hours outside Nairobi. A place so remote, so forgotten, that no one would ever think to look for me there. I rented a 1-room house with a tin roof and dirt floors. I learned to fetch water from the well. I learned to cook over a fire. I learned to live like I had never left Africa. And I waited for my body to change. At 12 weeks, I finally saw a doctor in the nearest town. She was an older woman with kind eyes and rough hands. She did an ultrasound. She smiled. "Congratulations," she said. "You're having twins." I burst into tears. Twins, 2 boys, 2 lives. I was going to be a mother, alone, in hiding, with no money, no plan, and no idea how to survive. But I had to. The pregnancy was brutal. I was sick constantly. My body ached. I couldn't afford prenatal vitamins. I couldn't afford proper food. I worked in the village market, selling vegetables for pennies, just to buy rice and beans. At night, I would lie on my mat and talk to my sons. "I'm sorry," I would whisper, my hands on my swollen belly. "I'm sorry your father doesn't know about. I'm sorry I took you away from him. But I promise you, keep you safe. I will love you enough for both of us." The village women noticed my pregnancy. They brought me food. They taught me how to prepare. They told me stories of their own children, their own struggles. One woman, Mama Grace, became my closest friend. "You ran from a man," she said one day. It wasn't a question. I nodded. "A dangerous man." I nodded again. "Good," she said. "Some men are not meant to be fathers. You did the right thing." But I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about anything. Because late at night, when the twins kicked and I couldn't sleep, I would think about Hyunwoo. I would remember the way he held my hand, the way he apologized, the way he looked at me like I was the only real thing in his fake world. Did he hate me for leaving? Did he even care? Or had I just been a contract to him all along? I gave birth on a rainy night in July. There was no hospital, no doctors, just Mama Grace and 2 other village women, their hands steady, their voices calm. The pain was unbearable. I screamed until my voice broke. I cried for my mother. I cried for Hyunwoo even though I hated myself for it. And then I heard it, a baby's cry. "It's a boy," Mama Grace said, placing a tiny, wrinkled, perfect baby on my chest. I sobbed. I held him. He was so small, so fragile. "One more," Mama Grace said. "Push, Naledi, one more." I pushed, and then there were 2 sons, both crying, both alive. I named them Kai and Keon. Kai, because it means ocean in Hawaiian, and he was born during a storm. Keon, because it means God is gracious, and I needed to believe that God had a plan for us. They had my skin, my nose, my lips, but they had his eyes. dark, sharp Korean eyes. Every time I looked at them, I saw Kang Hyun-woo. And every time I saw him in them, I was terrified that one day, he would see himself in them too. The first year was survival. I worked, I begged, I borrowed. I sold everything I had brought from Seoul except one thing, a photo of Hyun-woo and me from our wedding day. I kept it hidden in a box under my bed. I don't know why. Maybe because I wanted my sons to know their father's face someday. Maybe because I wanted to remember that once, for a brief moment, I wasn't just a contract. The twins grew. They learned to crawl, to walk, to say mama. They were happy. They were loved. But I was always afraid. I jumped at every knock. I interrogated every stranger. I taught my sons to hide if they heard cars they didn't recognize. Because I knew Kang Hyun-woo didn't forgive. Kang Hyun-woo didn't forget. And if he ever found out about Kai and Keon, he would come for them. And then, on their 4th birthday, I made a mistake. I posted a single photo on an old social media account I thought was deleted.
안녕, 여러분. Before you continue, if this story touched something in you, you should know I didn't tell everything yet. The complete version has 20 full audio episodes. No interruptions, no ads. Just the story, the emotions, and the moments I couldn't fit in here. If you scan the QR code on your screen, or tap the link in the pinned comment to continue listening right now.
Just my son's hands holding a birthday cake. No faces, no location tags. But it was enough. 3 days later, I heard the car door slam. And I knew. He found us. The car door didn't slam again. I waited. My sons clutched my legs. My heart hammered so hard I thought it would break through my ribs. Silence. I crept to the window. I pulled back the curtain just enough to see. Nothing. The dirt road was empty. The car was gone. I exhaled. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe the fear was making me hear things that weren't there. But deep down, I knew better. For 4 years, I raised Kai and Keon in that village like they were mine alone. I never told them about their father. How could I? What would I say? Your father is a mafia boss in Korea who said I could never give him children. He doesn't know you exist. And if he ever finds out, I don't know if he'll love you or destroy us. So I told them nothing. When Kai asked, Mama, why don't we have a papa like the other kids? I said, some families are just mama and babies, and that's enough. When Keon asked, Mama, why do we look different from everyone? I said, because you're special. You have the best of 2 worlds inside you. They believed me, because children always believe their mothers. But the village didn't. The women whispered. The men stared. My sons were beautiful. Light brown skin, thick curly hair, sharp Korean eyes. They looked like a mystery no one could solve. Who is their father? The women would ask. A man from far away, I would say. Nothing more. Mama Grace knew the truth, or at least part of it. She never pushed me. But sometimes she would look at my sons and shake her head. Those boys have power in their blood, she said one day. You can see it in the way they walk, the way they look at the world. Their father. He was a king, wasn't he? I didn't answer. Because Kang Hyun-woo wasn't a king. He was a monster. But my sons didn't need to know that yet. I homeschooled them. I taught them English, Swahili, and Korean. Yes, Korean. Because even though I was hiding them from their father, I couldn't erase half of who they were. I taught them to write their names in Hangul. I taught them to count. I sang them Korean lullabies I had learned from Hyun-woo's housekeeper back in Seoul. Kai loved it. He absorbed everything like a sponge. He would practice writing Korean characters in the dirt with a stick. Keon was different. He was quieter, more observant. He would watch me when I taught them, his eyes sharp, like he was trying to figure out what I wasn't saying. One night, when they were 3 years old, Keon climbed into my lap and touched my face. Mama, he said softly, are you sad? I froze. No, baby. Mama's not sad. Yes, you are, he insisted. You cry at night. I hear you. I didn't know what to say, because he was right. I cried every night. I cried because I missed Hyun-woo. I cried because I hated myself for missing him. I cried because my sons deserved a father, and I had stolen that from them. Mama just misses home sometimes, I whispered. This is home, Kai said, climbing into my lap too. We're home. And I held my boys and tried to believe them. But then things started to change. Small things at first. A strange car parked at the edge of the village for 3 days. Then it disappeared. A man at the market asking questions about a woman from Korea and 2 boys with light skin. A phone call to Mama Grace from someone claiming to be a journalist researching international families in rural Kenya. I felt it, the net closing in. I pulled my sons out of the market. I stopped going to town. I kept them inside our small house, the windows covered, the door locked. "Mama, why can't we go outside?" Kai whined. "Because it's not safe right now," I said. "Why?" "Because I said so." It wasn't enough, but it was all I had. And then the photo happened. It was their 4th birthday. I wanted to give them something normal, something happy. So I baked a small cake, just flour, sugar, and water, nothing fancy, and I let them blow out 4 candles. They were so happy. Their little faces glowed in the candlelight. Their hands reached for the cake at the same time, laughing, fighting over the first piece. I took out my phone. I snapped one picture. Just their hands, just the cake, no faces, no location. And without thinking, I posted it to an old Instagram account I thought I had deleted years ago. The caption, 4 years of light. I didn't tag the location. I didn't use their names. I thought it was safe. I was so stupid. Within 48 hours, the account was flooded with messages. "Naledi, is that you? Where are you? Are those your children?" I deleted the post immediately. I deactivated the account. I smashed my phone and buried it in the backyard. But it was too late. Because 3 days later, I heard the car door slam. And this time, I knew exactly who it was. I looked through the window and saw him, Kang Hyun-woo, standing in the middle of my village in his black suit and his expensive shoes, looking so out of place it was almost funny. Except I wasn't laughing. I was shaking. Because in his hand, he held a printout of the photo. My son's hands, the cake. And he was walking toward my door. I locked the door. It was stupid. A locked door wouldn't stop Kang Hyun-woo. Nothing stopped Kang Hyun-woo. But I locked it anyway. "Mama?" Kai looked up at me, confused. "Why did you lock the door?" "Go to your room," I whispered. "Both of you, now." "But Mama?" "Now!" They ran. I heard their little feet scrambling across the floor, the door to their room slamming shut. And then I heard the knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I pressed my back against the wall. My hands were shaking. My breath came in short, shallow gasps. "Naledi," his voice, deep, controlled. "I know you're in there." I said nothing. "I'm not leaving until you open this door." I closed my eyes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But there was nowhere to run anymore. I opened the door. And there he was. Kang Hyun-woo. 4 years older, 4 years harder. His hair was longer. His jaw was sharper. His eyes were colder. But it was still him. He stared at me. I stared at him. Neither of us spoke. And then his eyes moved past me, scanning the small house, the dirt floor, the tin roof, the single table with 2 chairs. "You've been living here?" His voice was quiet, dangerous. I didn't answer. His eyes came back to mine. 4 years, Naledi. 4 years, and not a single word. "You wouldn't understand," I whispered. "Try me." I shook my head. "You need to leave." "No. Hyun-woo, please. Show me the photo." I froze. "The one you posted," he continued, pulling out a folded piece of paper from his jacket. He unfolded it, my son's hands, the birthday cake. "Who are they?" I couldn't speak, my throat closed up. "Naledi," his voice cracked. "Who are they?" And then I heard it. A small voice from the bedroom. "Mama?" Hyun-woo's head snapped toward the sound. "No. No, 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 no." "Mama, we're hungry," Kai called out. Hyun-woo's eyes widened. He looked at me, then at the bedroom door, then back at me. "You have children," he said slowly. I nodded. "How many?" 2. "How old?" I couldn't say it. I couldn't. But I didn't have to. Because Kai and Kian opened the bedroom door and walked out. They stopped when they saw Hyun-woo. Their eyes, his eyes, went wide. And Hyun-woo froze. He stared at them, at their faces, at their eyes, at the unmistakable features they inherited from him. The room went completely silent. "Mama, who is that?" Kian whispered, hiding behind my leg. Hyunwoo's face went pale. His hands started shaking. He looked at me, his expression a mixture of shock, fury, and something I couldn't name. "They're mine," he breathed. It wasn't a question. I nodded. "They're mine?" His voice rose. "You were pregnant when you left?" "Yes." 4 years! He exploded. 4 years, Naledi. You kept my sons from me for 4 years? "I had to," I shouted back. "You said I could never give you children. You said I was just a contract. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to tell me." The twins started crying. Kai grabbed Kian and pulled him back into the bedroom. Hyunwoo ran his hands through his hair. He looked like he was about to lose his mind. "Do you have any idea what I went through?" His voice broke. "I thought you were dead, Naledi. I thought someone took you. I spent 4 years searching for you, 4 years blaming myself, 4 years thinking I failed to protect you." I felt tears streaming down my face. "And the whole time," he continued, his voice shaking, "the whole time you were here, raising my sons, alone, in poverty, while I—" He stopped. He looked around the house again. "While I had everything, and you had nothing." "I had them," I whispered. "That was enough." "It wasn't enough," he roared. "Look at this place. Look at how you're living. You think this is what I wanted for my children? I was protecting them. From who? From me? From your world," I screamed. "From the men who killed children to send messages. From the enemies who would cut my babies out of my womb just to hurt you. I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't." Hyunwoo stared at me. And then slowly, he sank to his knees. "You really think I would let anyone hurt them?" he whispered. "I didn't know what you would do," I said, my voice breaking. "I didn't know if you would believe they were yours. I didn't know if you would even care." He looked up at me, his eyes filled with tears I had never seen before. "I would burn the entire world down for them," he said. "For you, for our sons. I would burn it all." And then Kai peeked out from the bedroom, his little voice trembling. "Mama, is that our papa?" I looked at Hyunwoo. He looked at Kai, and I realized there was no going back anymore. The truth was out. And now we all had to face what came next. Hyunwoo stayed. Not just for an hour, not just for a day. He stayed. That first night, he sat on the floor of our tiny house, and my sons, our sons, circled him like he was a fascinating, dangerous animal. "What's your name?" Kai asked boldly. "Kang Hyunwoo," he answered, his voice soft. "That's a funny name," Kian giggled. Hyunwoo smiled. It was the first time I had seen him smile in years. "What are your names?" he asked. "I'm Kai. That's Kian. We're twins." "Twins," Hyunwoo repeated, looking at me. His eyes were full of wonder. "You gave me twin sons." I nodded, unable to speak. He reached out slowly, carefully, like he was afraid they would disappear if he moved too fast. Kai grabbed his hand. Kian touched his face. "You have the same eyes as us," Kian whispered. Hyunwoo's face crumpled. He pulled both boys into his arms and held them so tight I thought he might break them. "I'm sorry," he whispered into their hair. "I'm so sorry I wasn't here." That night, after the boys fell asleep, Hyunwoo and I finally talked. We sat outside under the stars, the village quiet around us. "I never stopped looking for you," he said. "I hired investigators. I tracked every lead. I thought you were kidnapped. I thought you were dead. I never imagined that I ran away," I finished. "That you were pregnant," he corrected. "If I had known, Naledi. If I had known, I would have—" "What? Protected us?" I laughed bitterly. "How? Your enemies were everywhere. Your world was a war zone. I couldn't bring babies into that. So you brought them here instead, to this." He gestured at the village. "Do you know what could have happened to you? Alone, pregnant, no money, no protection?" I survived. "You suffered." I looked at him. "Yes, I did. But my sons are alive. They're healthy. They're happy. And that's more than I could have promised them in Seoul." He was quiet for a long time. I've changed, he finally said. The business. I've changed it. After you left, I realized I couldn't keep living like that. I couldn't keep being that person. I started cutting ties with the violent parts. I started legitimizing everything. It's not perfect. It's not clean. But it's safer. It's better. Why? I asked. Because I kept thinking, what if she comes back? What if she gives me another chance?
If you made it to the end, you already understand this isn't just another story. What you watched here is only a fragment. The full experience lives in 20 complete audio episodes, carefully told, with every detail, every emotion, every turning point. There are no ads, no interruptions, and nothing was removed like it is on YouTube. You can listen anytime on your phone with total privacy, inside the members-only area. Scan the QR code on your screen now, or tap the link in the pinned comment to unlock the full story and continue listening immediately.
I needed to be someone worth coming back to. I felt my heart crack open. I wasn't running from you, I whispered. I was running from what loving you would cost. He took my hand. It doesn't have to cost anything anymore, he said. Come home with me, you and the boys. Let me give you the life you deserve. Let me be their father. Hyunwoo? I know I don't deserve it, he interrupted. I know I said terrible things to you. I know I pushed you away. But I'm begging you. Give me a chance to make this right. I looked at our small house. I looked at the village that had kept us safe. I looked at the stars above us, the same stars I had looked at every night for 4 years, wondering if he was looking at them too. And then I looked at him. If we go back, I said slowly, things have to be different. No more secrets, no more darkness. Our sons deserve better. They'll have better, he promised. I swear it. 3 weeks later, we boarded a plane to Seoul. Kai and Keon were terrified and excited all at once. They had never been on a plane. They had never seen a city. They had never imagined a world beyond the village. Hyunwoo held Keon in his lap. I held Kai. And as the plane took off, I realized I was going back to the place I ran from. But this time, I wasn't alone. This time, I had everything. The penthouse hadn't changed. Glass walls, city lights, cold, expensive furniture. But Hyunwoo changed it. Within days, he hired decorators. He filled the apartment with color, with toys, with warmth. He built the boys a bedroom that looked like a palace. He hired tutors, nannies, guards, but only people he trusted with his life. And every single night, he tucked Kai and Keon into bed and told them stories. Stories about their mother, stories about Korea, stories about the family they now had. I watched him become a father, and it was the most beautiful, terrifying, healing thing I had ever seen. We weren't perfect. We fought. We struggled. We had to learn how to be a family after 4 years of being strangers. But we tried. And slowly, carefully, we built something real. One night, 6 months after we returned, Hyunwoo and I stood on the balcony, watching the boys sleep through the glass wall. Do you regret it? I asked. Everything that happened? He thought about it. I regret the time I lost, he said. I regret the pain you went through. I regret not being there when they were born. He turned to me. But I don't regret you. I don't regret them. And I don't regret fighting to get you back. He kissed me. Soft, gentle, real. We're going to be okay, he whispered. And for the first time in 4 years, I believed him. But here's the truth I don't tell him. Sometimes, late at night, I still wake up in a panic. I still check the locks. I still scan the faces in crowds, looking for threats that might not exist anymore. Because when you've spent 4 years running, you don't just stop being afraid. The boys are safe. Hyunwoo has changed. We're building something beautiful. But some part of me still wonders, what happens when the past catches up? What happens when his old enemies discover he has sons now? Can love really protect us? Or have I just brought my babies into the war I was trying to escape?